So now let's begin to take a look at the material in Chapter 2, Project Selection and Management. Chapter 2 discusses how organizations evaluate and select projects to undertake from the many candidate projects that they may have in front of them. Once a project has been selected, the project manager plans the project. Project management involves selecting a project methodology, creating the project work plan, identifying project staffing requirements, and preparing to manage and control the project. These steps produce important project management deliverables, including the work plan, the staffing plan, a standards list, the project charter, and risk assessment. Here are the learning objectives for this chapter. To explain how projects are selected in some organizations, to describe the various approaches to the systems development lifecycle that can be used to structure a development project, to explain how to select a project methodology based on project characteristics, to become familiar with project estimation, to be able to create a project work plan, to describe project staffing issues and concerns, to describe and apply techniques to coordinate and manage a project, and to explain how to manage risk for a project. Hopefully, at the end of this chapter, most of these terms will be familiar to you. Most IT departments have a demand for IT projects that far exceeds the department's ability to actually tackle them. Historically, IT departments have tended to select projects by ad hoc methods, first in, first out, political clout, or the so-called squeaky wheel getting the grease syndrome. In recent years, IT departments have collected project information and mapped the project's contributions to business goals using a project portfolio perspective. So-called project portfolio management, a process of selecting, prioritizing, and monitoring project results, has become a critical success factor for IT departments facing too many potential projects with few resources. Once selected, a system development project undergoes a thorough process of project management, which is the process of planning and controlling the project within a specified time frame at minimum cost and with the desired outcomes. A project manager has the primary responsibility for managing the hundreds of tasks and roles that need to be carefully coordinated. So, a critical success factor for project management is to start with a realistic assessment of the work that needs to be accomplished and then to manage the project according to the plan. This can be accomplished by following the basic steps of project management as outlined in this chapter. As I mentioned, many IT organizations tackle a number of important initiatives simultaneously, and they have to choose which projects should have the highest priority to proceed and which ones should be tabled or shelved for a later time. Collectively, these endeavors are managed as a program by the so-called IT Steering Committee. The IT Steering Committee is a committee of top executives, and they provide oversight and governance to the entire set of projects that are undertaken by the IT organization. So how do they choose? Investments in information systems projects today are evaluated in the context of an entire portfolio of projects, and there are various factors by which they must assess the feasibility of each project. So here are some of those features by which an IT steering committee can consider each project and determine which ones to proceed with. What is the size of the project? How many people are needed to work on the project? How much will the project cost the organization? What's the purpose? Is it meant to improve the technical infrastructure of the organization? Is it meant to support a current business strategy? Is it meant to improve operations? Demonstrate some new innovation, perhaps? What is the length? How long will the project take before completion? How much time will go by before value is returned to the business or organization? Risk. How likely is it that the project will succeed or fail? Scope. How much of the organization is affected by the system? Just a department? A division of the organization? Perhaps the entire organization? And finally, economic value, and this is probably the most difficult feature of a project to realistically assess. How much money does the organization expect to receive in return for the amount the project costs? Sometimes this is called a cost-benefit analysis, and it sounds very useful, and it is, but in reality it's very, very difficult to do. Often you don't know all of the costs, not just monetary costs, but manpower costs, risks, delays, and so forth, until you get into it. Once a project is launched by being selected by the approval committee, it's time to carefully plan the project. The project manager will follow a set of project management guidelines, sometimes referred to as the project management lifecycle, as he or she organizes, guides, and directs the project from inception to completion. The project manager must make a myriad of decisions regarding the project, including determining the best project methodology, you see this on the slide, developing a work plan for the project, determining a staffing plan, and establishing mechanisms to coordinate and control the project. As we mentioned in Chapter 1, the systems development lifecycle provides a foundation for a process used to develop the information system. A so-called methodology is a formalized approach to implement the SDLC, that is a list of phases or tasks, steps, and deliverables. However, there are many different systems development methodologies, and they vary in terms of the progression that is followed throughout the phases of the SDLC that we reviewed. Additionally, many organizations have their own in-house developed methodologies that explains exactly how each phase of the SDLC is to be performed. So now or soon, we're going to take a look at these different methodologies. They're related. They use the same phases that we have described and outlined, but they are organized in different ways. Here are a list of a few of the project characteristics that will affect and perhaps even determine the particular methodology that is selected to be followed to build a particular project. Clarity of user requirements. How well do the users and analysts understand the functions and capabilities needed from the new system? Familiarity with the technology. How much experience does the project team have with the technology that will be used? System complexity. How much complexity is anticipated in the new system? More complex systems, of course, are more difficult to develop and often need a more formally structured approach. System reliability. Is it a system critical type of project? Will the system need to be highly reliable, or is some downtime tolerable? The amount of time that is available. If the project time frame is tight, sometimes the formal waterfall approach, the system development lifecycle, just won't work. There's not enough time. You need to do some sort of prototyping or agile approach. And finally, schedule visibility. Are the project sponsors, users, or organizational managers anxious to see progress? So that's enough for this video. Now in the next video, let's look at alternative structured methodologies that are appropriate depending upon the features of the project at hand.